Today, we are going to be going over every single National League team and what I want to see them do in the offseason, and we will be doing it all in 15 minutes or less, and that's a promise. Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you, and today, like I said, we are going over every single team in the National League and what I want to see them do in the offseason. We're going to be doing it in 15 minutes or less, but before we hop into it, I want to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, help the channel grow. I'm going to be coming out with this video today, another video tomorrow, another video on Friday. So turn on that notification bell. We're going to keep the good sports train rolling and all those things. I got a timer on my computer that I'm going to start as soon as I start talking about the first team. It's not going to be a minute for each team. It'll average to a minute though. And before I hop into it, I want to remind you, you are the expert on your team. If I say something that you disagree with, comment down below. Let's talk about it. The only team that I can really say I'm an expert for is the Brewers, because they're my squad. So you're the person for your squad. So let's talk about it below. But we're about to start the timer, and the first team we are going to start off with in 3, 2, 1 is the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, they need starting pitching. You didn't have a single starting pitcher who had above 160 innings. That's going to be a concern for you. Bryce Elder was your guy with the most innings pitched last season, and he had a 5.30 ERA, so you absolutely don't love to see that. Chris Sale is obviously your guy, but the fact of the matter is that he is getting older. He's probably on a Hall of Fame track right now, especially with that Cy Young, but he's getting older, and everyone knows what happens when you get older. You could fall off a cliff very, very soon, and they were 22nd in team ERA this past year. So add some starting pitching. It doesn't need to be an ace per se. You could just add a quality 3, quality 4, whatever it may be. The next team is going to be the Miami Marlins. Try to get a wild card, honestly, is going to be my goal for them for this season, and just keep building with what you have. They have an incredibly stacked team when it comes to young talent and everything like that. They got Kyle Stowers, Xavier Edwards, and Otto Lopez. All of those are position players who had above 3 Baseball Reference WAR this past year. So keep doing what you're doing. They're in a relatively weak NL East right now. There's nobody that's going to run away with this division unless the Mets really put it together. So they could definitely make some strides. I wouldn't say it's necessarily going to be their division this year. Maybe next season, though, or even a season from them. You know, they also have quality pitching. Yuri Perez, I think he was one of the top prospects back in the day, and he is extremely talented. I've always been a fan of his. So build him up to be a better pitcher. Edward Cabrera is going to be another one of your guys looking forward. You also have 4 top 100 prospects, so you could deal them to make some moves. So Miami, just keep staying the course, build up your young guys, try to make a push for a wild card spot at the bare minimum. The New York Mets, my biggest thing is going to be re-sign Pete Alonso. He is so vital to this team and what it means to be a New York Met. He's one of the best first basemen on the market right now, so do what you can to re-sign him. He's been so valuable to the team. You've already poured so much money into this squad. Why not pay a little extra more to have that anchor for your squad? But a good offense doesn't mean anything without good pitching, and pitching was their biggest issue this year. You didn't have an ace. You had no one below a 3 ERA when you're talking about a starting pitching, except for Nolan McLean. He had a really, really nice season with an ERA around a 2. And you also have a pretty good farm system. You got 4 guys in the top 50. So maybe trade some of those guys to build up a better starting rotation. You got a lot of questions when it comes to the starter side of things, but your offense is so talented right now that all you need is just a couple more arms, maybe a legit ace, and it could be Nolan for all that we know. Next up is going to be the Washington Nationals. Just keep building your core young guys. CJ Abrams, James Wood, Mackenzie Gore, Dylan Cruz are going to be those big guys that you have to build up on, and just keep it going with them. This isn't going to be your year with them. I understand that 100% completely. I would say that you're a year away from being a year away at the bare minimum, but just build up what you have right now. Maybe you're going to trade some of your big guys, but my biggest key for them this offseason is just stay the course. You got a good group of young, talented position players. Build those players up, and you honestly could get some MVP candidates out of them. Next up is going to be the Philadelphia Phillies. Interesting case over there. I would say find a way to replace Kyle Schwarber. I don't think he's going to be coming back to Philadelphia. So find a way to replace his bat. And also same with JT Realmuto. Find a serviceable catcher. And then after that, I would say try to make a push for this one last year, because I think that this is going to be your last year of doing anything. And if it isn't working out at the halfway point, you got to cut your ties. Whether that's going to be trade Bryce Harper in the middle of the season, or Trey Turner and all those guys. And this is going to include calling up some of your top prospects. Andrew Painter potentially could get some run when it comes to the starters, because you're also going to be missing Ranger Suarez, who was one of the best pitchers for you this season. So how are you going to replace him as a pitcher? You have so many missing components. You got to do something. And also you got to find a way to make the defense any better. Maybe that's going to be moving Nick Castellanos to DH, and you can sign a right fielder who can actually do right fielder stuff. So they have a lot of question marks, especially when it comes to replacing the big holes that were so good for this team in Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto, in Ranger Suarez. So they have a lot of things to figure out, but the biggest thing is replace the bats. Next up, we're moving to the NL Central. We're going to my Milwaukee Brewers, and the biggest thing is going to be figuring out the shortstop position and first base long term. Andrew Vaughn obviously was a fantastic trade for the Brewers. They gave up basically nothing, and they got a guy who was very, very successful. The question is was this a flash in the pan, or is this going to be a long-term thing? I lean towards that it's going to be a flash in the pan. He had so much success after not having any success, which leads me to think that the Brewers need to sign somebody who's going to be a little bit more long-term. And the next thing is shortstop. Joey Ortiz was not a very serviceable shortstop. He was a good defender, but the bat wasn't there at all. Figure out something, whether that's going to be move him around, send him down, call up a guy, trade for a competent shortstop. You got to do something. Or if you say, you know what, we're going to be fine with having that negative, then you got to figure out something at first base. And then also you need to figure out what to do with Freddie Peralta. I say keep him. That is going to be my key. Keep Freddie Peralta. You already had Woodruff sign your qualifying offer. Sign and trade for a big bat at first base is going to be the biggest thing for me with the Brewers. For the Cubs, you got to find a way to replace Kyle Tucker. He was such a big bat. I don't think he's going to be coming back. And then the next thing is going to be make the push right now. You got free agents that are going to be free agents after this coming year in Nico Horner and Ian Happ. That means your time to go is now. And with that being said, this being your time to go right now, you need to find a way to replace Kyle Tucker. He was so valuable. But don't give up on the defense. Defense was your calling card for this Cubs team. Find somebody who can hit and also play a competent right field. That's my biggest thing. Keep the defense strong while signing at least a serviceable bat. It doesn't need to be a Kyle Tucker level bat, but it needs to be serviceable. And then the final thing is make Cade Horton your ace. He was so good this past season in a short time span. Build him up to be an ace, because Matthew Boyd, similar thing to Andrew Vaughn, he could have been a flash in the pan. We don't know for sure. With the Cardinals, it is going to be sell, sell, sell. I don't want to see this team make any buying moves. This team was mediocre at best this past season. And when you're looking at what they have, you have Nolan Arenado, you have Wilson Contreras. Both of those are on long-term contracts. Sonny Gray is also on a contract. Brandon Donovan was so good this past year. He's going to be your biggest trade piece. You didn't have a single player above 3 Baseball Reference WAR. The Marlins had 3 guys who had 3 Baseball Reference WAR, and those are just their young guys. So for the Cardinals, sell, sell, sell. I don't want to see any buying. Call up JJ Weatherholt, who's your number 1 prospect, who's like a top 5 prospect. Maybe trade for some pitching prospects. You don't have a lot of that. So sell, 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 build up some quality pieces, and you're going to have to go into a rebuild, because what you're doing right now is clearly not working for the St. Louis Cardinals. Pirates, keep Paul Skeens. I don't want to see him in New York. I don't want to see him in LA. I don't want to see him anywhere else but in the Pirates uniform. That means that you need to buy. And there are reports about them buying big time. They've apparently been making serious offers at Kyle Schwarber. They made big-time offers at Josh Naylor. That's what they need. They haven't signed a position player in like so long via free agency who's been like a big bat. You don't have a lot of money on the books. You have Brian Reynolds and you have Mitch Keller. That's going to be about it. So now is your time to make the moves. Buy the big-time bats because you are going to have one of the best starting pitching rotations coming up because you have Paul Skeens. You have Bubba Chandler coming up, who's the number 14th ranked prospect. You have Hunter Barco, who's the number 78th ranked prospect. This starting rotation is going to be so quality that you need to have some bats to back it up. We could potentially see them making a push for a wild card spot this year, and I would love to see that for Paul Skeens. But like I said, the biggest thing is keep Paul Skeens. He's the only reason that your franchise is relevant right now. Next up, we're going to have the Cincinnati Reds. My biggest thing is getting a bat. You had a team OPS of 90 this past year. That means you were 10% worse than league average. Your starting third baseman, who is your starting third baseman the majority of the time, had a 57 OPS plus. Gavin Lux, who had the most games at DH for you this past season, had a 97 OPS plus. Your DH was worse than league average, but your pitching is so good. You had a 119 ERA plus for your pitching staff this year. That means you were 19% better than league average. Also, Rhett Lauder, who was one of their top prospects, find a way to keep him healthy. I know that that's not like something you can do, but that is going to be one of the keys for the offseason, is to keep him healthy. And also, like, the next big thing is going to be Sal Stewart, who's one of your top prospects. Just find a way to bring him up. Find a way to have him as a bat because you need any bat that you can get right now. So sign a free agent bat. And the biggest thing is stay the course because you only have 4 free agents coming up in this next season. So even if this isn't their year this year, next season could definitely be a season for them. Okay, we're a little bit behind schedule. We're going to keep going. The Diamondbacks make a decision. You are in a weird spot. I would lean towards keep what you got. You have really good talent, but you also have a lot of money tied up in Ketel Marte, Corbin Burnes, Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Rodriguez really struggled for you this season. Corbin Burnes was hurt. So it's like you have chances to make moves. You have 3 of the best players in the league right now in Corbin Carroll, in Geraldo Perdomo, in Ketel Marte. Oh my God, I'm getting gassed. However, you're losing Zach Gallen to free agency, most likely, unless he resigns. You also are losing Merrill Kelly. So you need a 4 or 5 guy at a bare minimum, assuming that Corbin, or they traded Merrill Kelly. Yeah, they traded Merrill Kelly. So at a bare minimum, you're going to be losing guys, and Corbin Burnes, if he can stay healthy, would be a huge plus. You also don't have a lot of prospects, so you need to find a way to, at a bare minimum, get a 4 or 5 starter. Next up is going to be the Dodgers. Thank goodness we got time. Have fun, relax, chill, maybe sign Kyle Tucker. They probably will. You have the best team in baseball. Take a time, relax, breathe, enjoy winning the championship. Sing Kumbaya for all I care. They're all good. The Giants, figure out what you're doing at first base. You're either going to be moving Rafael Devers there, or you're going to keep Bryce Aldridge up. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball, but you need to figure out what you're doing at first base and then adding some starting pitching. This is a common theme with a lot of teams, adding starting pitching. You only have 3 guys really right now. You have Logan Webb, you have Robbie Ray, and you have Landon Roop. That's all you got right now. You don't love that. You need at least a 4 or 5 starter, whether that's going to be calling up prospects, whether that's going to be trading for a guy. I think a lot of people, I think Buster Posey would prefer to trade for an actual big league starter because your roster or your lineup is a competent MLB roster. You need to trade for starting pitching. Who is going to fit that? And then the final thing is going to be see how Tony Vitello is going to do. That was a huge move for them. We're going to see what happens. This could be their year if they could make some big time starting pitching signings is going to be the biggest thing. And like I said, figure out first base. Next up is going to be the Padres. It's the exact same thing. Get more starters. Maybe you re-sign Dylan Cease. I don't know. Maybe you go out and find somewhere else because the facts of the matter is, similar to the Giants, you have a very, very good lineup. It is absolutely stacked with talent. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, all these guys, Jackson Merrill. It's a very, very good lineup, but your starting pitching is weak. Yu Darvish, same thing. He's getting another year older, similar to Chris Sale like I talked about. He's obviously an incredibly talented pitcher who knows how to get the job done. But the facts of the facts is that he is getting another year older. You also had Nick Pivetta, who had an absolutely unreal season. Can he capitalize on that season and have another great season? Yes, probably, but he's not going to be the pitcher that finished with Cy Young votes and had 5+ WAR this past season. So you need to figure out a way to bolster that starting rotation because it's not going to be what it was this past year. Because at a bare minimum, you're losing Dylan Cease. Nick Pavetta's most likely gonna regress, and Yu Darvish is getting older. We don't know what's going to happen there. And then finally, we have the Colorado Rockies. I don't know. Keep Hunter Goodman around because he's really, really good. Maybe find a way to trade Chris Bryant. That's all I got. I mean, that's not going to happen because nobody's going to take on his albatross of a contract. Call up Charlie Condon at some point during the year. Yeah, it's a bummer to end on the Rockies, but that's what I got. Hunter Goodman is very, very good. Just find a way to get your young guys some reps in and find a way to help this team grow it all. It's going to be another year of rebuilding. Pick somebody good in the draft and just keep building. That's all I got. We finished in 14 minutes and 15 seconds. We just went through every single team in the National League in under 15 minutes, talking about them all, what I want to see them doing during the offseason. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing with the American League. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I'm out. Peace.